G'day guys, what's going on? Matt here again for another episode for you. This is number 18. Now, I know before I've done an episode of me doing a thing with history of my gaming consoles that I dealt with. But now, I want to give a bit of a thing out to my other mate who's going to be on a guest of this show. And this is a pre-recorded interview that I've done with him, or pre-recorded segment that I've done. And so anyway, this is me and my mate talking literally about how we got into gaming and what we think about different games of those different consoles. This is a really good episode, guys, and I really hope you enjoy it. Anyway, I'm going to be going off to this other bit now that I've actually just uploaded and or just done with me mate a few nights ago. So anyway, here it is here, and I'll see you then. G'day guys, what's going on? Well, I've got Andrew here on Facebook, and he's joining me by the bar. What's going on, mate?
Very little. Hope everyone's well out there.
Now, I've actually got you on here, mate. I've already said on the previous bit that I'm going to get you on here, get your point of view, but also to talk about our journey, I suppose. You probably could say about us going through our gaming consoles journey and what we used to play and how we played it and what happened when it first launched and what games we played when it first launched and that type of thing.
Sounds good.
Right. So, I reckon we have to start on the old PS1, PlayStation 1, or you want to start on the Nintendo 64?
Well, we'll start at the very start. PS1 was before 64, so it's the first console I ever played.
Yeah. Because the PlayStation,
so I reckon I'll start there.
Because the PlayStation came out in 95, and the Nintendo
94
64...
94, I think, in Japan, I believe. Or 93 even, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was 95. Now, what was your experiences when the PlayStation first came out? Like, it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, see, I didn't get mine until, I think, a year or so later, because I started school in 97, and I think I got it my first day of primary school.
Yep.
Which was 97, 96.
Yep.
So, yeah, it had been out for a little while before I got it, and before that, I had played Nintendo Entertainment System at people's houses and don't really have much memory of those type of things. But the PlayStation 1 was definitely the first console I remember very vividly.
Yeah.
Remember the first game I played was Ape Escape, I believe.
Yep. I think mine was Need for Speed. Need for Speed was mine.
Need for Speed 2 was the first racing game I ever played. And probably the game that sticks out most for me looking back is Crash Bandicoot. I just feel like it's one of those games for me where you just remember it so well. Yeah, it's just one of those games. It's
one of those type of iconic, what really put Sony in some ways on the map. They were one of those ones that everyone knew of and everyone wanted to play, and a lot of kids drove their parents nuts trying to get a copy of it. Well, what other games did you actually used to play on the old PlayStation, mate?
Well, I remember a couple of years later, a game called AFL 1999 came out, which was first AFL game made by EA Sports.
Yep.
And I remember late 98, I think it was, Shane Warne Cricket, which came out on PS2 and PS1, sorry. And I remember I used to play that. But there's one game, I can't remember the name of it. It was a fishing game. It was called Blue Marlin Black Bass or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was. It was a real popular game too. It was actually, I think it was actually branded one of the top fishing rod or fishing lure brands. Repio, I think that was called. What was that? The one?
That was the Parlor Fishing. The Parlor Fishing was on the Xbox PS2 era.
Yeah. So which one was that one? Which one was that one? The one you're talking about now? Because I don't really remember that one.
I'll just get the exact name. I've actually got it in the collection. So Blue Marlin. Just trying to find it.
Because there wasn't really too much of those type of games coming out in the early stages. They were more coming out on the late stages of the PS1, weren't they? Like they weren't exactly the most popular game out. Like there was other games that were most popular more than that. But I think you probably would have to agree with this one, mate. I reckon probably the most popular games actually on the PS1 would have to be Crash Bandicoot, of course, Sonic and all them, Hedgehog and all them, I suppose.
And your sports games, obviously. Yeah. Sports games are always going to be popular.
Well, that's actually what I was going to say. I reckon probably the most popular sports game would have to be Madden. Like that was insane. That game, it was one of the top games.
I reckon FIFA's probably. It's hard to beat FIFA because soccer's a sport which obviously is bigger than NFL, and I feel like, especially over in Europe, Madden or NFL is not really much of a thing. So,
yeah, true. Yeah,
I think. But that game I was talking about was Black Bass with Blue Marlin. It was very famous. The thing I remember about it was you'd drive around your boat and you'd have to look for birds, and then you drive through the flock of birds and you get a bite.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I don't remember that one, mate. But I didn't really used to play too much of the PS1. I was more because we'll get to the next one, which I mostly played, was Nintendo 64. But I never really played too much of the PlayStation 1. Like I remember my brother, he had a mate, and he used to have the PS1. We used to play mostly Need for Speed and sports games and that type of shit. But I don't think I never really used to play too much of it, you know.
Yeah, well, they were very different. Where I feel like the PS1 was. That's probably the start of simulation style games. I feel like, you know, when you look at the PS1's title, they had the Tom Clancy's, the Metal Gear Solids.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, there was nothing like that on Nintendo. Nintendo was still very, very arcade based with your GoldenEyes, your Mario's, Donkey Kongs.
No, geez,
all fabulous games. But I felt the PS1 was revolutionary in the sense that it was the first of the simulations. It had the sports games. It had the It had all them. It had all the army-based shooters that weren't just arcade corridor shooters. So
yeah,
I remember trying to play Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yeah.
Was it Splinter Cell or one of the Tom Clancy's? And yeah, I remember that was a real challenge because as a 5-year-old kid, you don't know anything about stealth or any army tactics, but
now, the Nintendo 64, now that came out in 1996, like I said there before. Now, that was one of my all-time favourite consoles, and I reckon, like, we used to play Mario Kart, Super Mario 64, GoldenEye, Legend of Zelda, Jesus, the freaking golf games, the Mario Golf. It was one of the most funnest bloody games of all time. And plus two, I don't know if you would remember or, you know, would really get into the Pokemon games. They were
I remember I remember the battle one where like you're in stadiums and whatnot.
Pokemon Battle. I used to have that game all the time. I used to play it all the fucking time, and I used to win every fucking time too.
Now, Pokemon brings me to an interesting segue, I reckon, which we should dive down. The Game Boy games of Pokemon, the Game Boy Color.
The Game Boy, that was, to any real OGs like you and me, original gamers, like the old school gamers, the Game Boy was one of the most funnest freaking consoles you would ever play because you had so many games on there. And you could play with your mates. You could hook up because you remember you could actually hook up the Game Boys together, and you can actually play together with the Pokemon.
Yeah, like that multiplayer pack you could buy from Kmart over here, which was I think that was Game Boy Color because you know I didn't play the original black and white Game Boy that much. I sort of started on the Pokemon Reds, Yellows, and Golds and Crystals and all that.
Yeah, that was the because when we got our Game Boys. Now I'm talking a long time, kids. I'm talking a very long time. We got our Game Boys with a Pokemon game, and we had a Pokemon game, Super Mario, and like I said, the Pokemon, and we had our little you get those little like my brother, he's still got it somewhere around here anyway. He's still got the old original. Do you remember the Mario bags that you used to get with the Game Boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my brother's actually still got the original bag, and he's got the original Game Boy. I bloody hope he has anyway. But we had the Pokemon Blue that I had, and my brother had the red, and we both had a copy of Super Mario, and we played that for hours and hours. And like you said, there was a time where you could have there was like a cable. I'm pretty sure it was a cable that you could hook up to the Game Boys, and you can play against each other on that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember the cables, and you have to sit pretty close to each other, and you could like trade Pokemon, I think, or something.
Yeah, that's right. When you used to hook up with each other on the Game Boys, yeah, you could trade Pokemon, and you can do this and that. But this is big when the fucking Pokemon cards came out too, which me and my brother collected. But then
the hunt for the Charizard.
But then, come on, Pokemon was one of the biggest fucking things around that time. And then after that, Dragon Ball Z came out. But it was around the same time because I remember getting up at about 7 o'clock in the morning to watch, how did it used to go on Cheese TV?
Oh, God, yeah.
Cheese TV, mate, I tell you what, kids don't know today. They have no idea.
Something I probably should. Don't mean to break your heart here.
Yeah.
Pokemon is actually after Dragon Ball Z, except for the simple fact that in the late 90s and early 2000s, when Dragon Ball Z was big over here on the TVs, on Cheese TV,
yeah,
it was already 10 years old.
Yeah, I know.
But we didn't know that over here. We thought the episodes we were watching, but overseas, everyone already seen them.
Yeah.
They were already well and truly seasons and seasons above us, a decade nearly. But yeah, so Pokemon actually came out late 90s, which over here Pokemon came out first before Dragon Ball Z, but worldwide it's quite the other way around, which is a real shock to the system to us when we found out.
No, yeah, it was, mate. It really was. But I remember getting up at 7 o'clock. Pokemon used to be on at 7 o'clock, and then 7:30 used to be Dragon Ball Z.
I remember seeing the Pokemon movie in the cinema, and you got a free Mewtwo card when you went in.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh,
that was...
Mate, they were the times, man. They were the frickin' times. They were the best times, mate.
Oh, that was a business. It really was.
Mate. And everyone bloody thought they were top shit when they got the biggest and the baddest Pokemon, and everyone knew that they were invincible if they ever got Mewtwo or Mew. Oh, geez.
Or Charizard.
Oh, Charizard. Yeah.
There were many fun times over Charizard.
Yeah, bloody Charizard. Yeah, definitely. It was fun. Those days were fun, mate. They were really. It was really, in some ways. I know. Later on we're going to be talking about the advances of gaming and how gaming is involved. But really, when you think about it, mate, they were the pinnacle days. Really, when you think about it, the 64, the PS1, the PS2, the Game Boys, they were the pinnacle of gaming back in those days.
But I will say this: I've often wondered, and it's something which I'll never get an answer to because there'll never be no one will be able to answer. And that's when I see kids today that are 7, 8, 9 from our age back then.
Yep.
I wonder, do they still have the same feelings about gaming that we had back then? Because we see gaming as different now. But is it different, or is it... Obviously, it's evolved, but, I mean, is it still the same to those kids? And I just don't see how it can, because...
No, I honestly don't think so, mate. I really don't.
To me, there was just something special about sitting in front of the TV with a corded controller. I know it sounds crazy and weird nowadays,
Yeah.
But it was hard to explain to someone who never did it.
Yeah.
And
No,
like
that's true.
you'd sit there playing a game and have your dad in the background on the couch hassling you to watch football instead.
Yep.
Which nowadays it's the other way around.
Oh yeah, definitely, mate. It really is, and the thing is too, right, is that people, like you said, people of today still don't understand the struggles, the fucking struggles.
Yeah. I remember when you used to have a chip PS1, you'd play a bird game, and the loading screen, you sit there and waiting, and you're like, is this going to go across, or is this going to... And if it went for a minute, you're like, I have to start again. But then it would just flash up, and the shot of adrenaline when the game loaded.
Oh, mate, I have to say too, the old cartridges of the Game Boy and the 64, you had to take it out. You used to go, you used to blow the shit out, but in the freaking actual console itself, you used to put down the fucking game, plug that in, half slam it down, turn it on, okay, turn it off again, take the fucking thing out, you fucking put the bastard in. You had to turn it back on again real quick. Fucking hell.
I've got a good one for you. I don't know if you played it or not, but I reckon everyone our age might remember this, and that's WCW Nitro.
Oh, mate.
NWA versus WCW on PlayStation 1.
Yeah. I actually...
And I remember...
I remember playing that on the 64. That was... Oh, mate, that was... Yeah, there. Nah.
You know something...
No
I remember this so vividly. The menu screen, when you go to select a character to play as or wrestler to play as,
yep,
they'd come up and they'd start screaming at you on the screen.
Yep, I remember that.
Telling you why to pick them. And yeah, that's something that definitely that's just, I remember that game so vividly because each character would say something different. I remember the Giant would come on and he'd start rambling and raving. And then Ric Flair, the crazy old guy, would start wooing and whistling and...
Woo!
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, Jesus. But, Jesus, I don't know, mate. But, so the Game Boys are out. The PlayStation is out. I remember the PlayStation was getting pretty high up in sales. It was getting pretty good in sales. The Game Boys were getting crazy sales. But then something happened. The PS2 came out and the Xbox came out, and this is when shit started getting real. This is when it started getting a bit more advanced, a bit more how would you explain, a bit more out there type thing. The games were getting better, the controls were getting more responsive, there was less fuck ups. You had to make sure
actually, hold on.
Yeah,
I think we just got to backtrack a little bit. I think we'd be doing an injustice here if we didn't mention the controversy in the late 90s, 1999 to be precise, with a PC game. A game called Doom came out, and to people who don't know, the story, Doom changed the world in a lot of ways. It came out, and infamous. I don't think no movie, no music, no song, nothing, no movie, no TV show, nothing has ever had the impact that Doom had, for the simple reason it was so controversial. It came out, and I remember...
Jesus.
I just remember seeing the news because people our age would know the story about the Columbine massacre.
Yeah.
And I remember people blaming Doom for it. And I'll be honest, I didn't play Doom until years afterwards. But Doom was one of those games where even as a kid, it scared the crap out of you for one.
Oh, yeah.
But I just felt like it was something that had to be mentioned in the fact when we're talking about that era of gaming, that game has to get a mention for right or wrong. Whether you think the game was too far, whether you think it was just a game, whatever you think, it has to be mentioned.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I first played Doom on the PC, like you said, and I think I played it after they took it off the shelves because one, with all the animations and all the characters and all the landscapes and shit or whatever. There was a lot of Nazi stuff on there. I do remember that.
Yeah,
And
the power of the PC really. I think that's what done it is that PC had been producing games for all throughout the 90s and that.
Yeah.
But they were just kind of like your They were probably, ironically, they're probably less graphically intense than the PS1 and the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until Doom that the PC went, right, we've got more power. We're gonna shock the world here, and shock the world they did. Because I remember the detail. I remember as a kid being shaken up when the BFG, the big fucking gun, as everyone knows it to be now.
Yeah.
The Doom shotgun. I remember the first time I shot it, and I remember seeing the blood spot, I think, and being frozen for a minute or two. Yeah, and like it took your breath away, and not necessarily in a good way. It shocked 7-8-year-old me.
It was actually probably one of the most violent games that ever did come out of that time, and I can tell you right now, if I can remember, they were very, 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 very seriously thinking about taking it off the shelves. It was not one of those games they wanted to come out. I think they took it off the shelves for about a couple of weeks or a couple of months. They put it back on the shelves, but they put a strict rating on it, saying it's not for children. But of course, the children got it. They changed it up from the Nazi stuff to monsters, and that was even scarier sometimes. And
that was probably worse.
That was actually worse.
Because what 7-year-old don't know what the hell a Nazi is?
That's it. That's it. That's exactly right, mate. And but if we're talking PC games like Doom, to me, too, one of my most favourite games, because I love these type of games, was Age of Empires. And
Total War and all that.
Total War and all that. Like Total War didn't really come out until much later. It was mostly Age of Empires and Age of Empires Kingdoms, I think the other one was, where you get to play as William Wallace and Joan of Arc and all them. They were some of the most iconic games out on the PC as well.
But as I said, sorry to cut you off, man.
Right. Go ahead.
I don't think a game, actually, in the back of my mind, something else is, which we'll get to. We're going to wait till we get to it, but I don't think I've ever remembered, and ever since then, I don't think I've seen games make it to the 6 o'clock news and the newspapers the way Doom did. That's what I feel like it was different, because it wasn't just, there's a game when we get to the PS2 and Xbox era, which I'm going to bring up, which everyone's going to remember this one.
Yep.
But Doom was the one who shocked the world. This one was the one who, if this makes any sense, re-shocked the world, if that makes a lick of sense. But Doom was the one who broke that barrier and said, right, this is where we're heading.
I remember they redone it for the second or third time, because it was redone about nearly 5 times, I think it was. The first one was the Nazis.
The Australian version.
Hey?
Australia is very strict on that kind of stuff.
But I think it was actually America as well, mate. It was shocking for everyone.
Yeah.
But it was about 3 or 4 times they'd done it. Hey?
Yeah, because America had that massive massacre. Remember that high school massacre when those kids were playing Doom and replicated the scenes.
And of course, and that's really, in some ways, mate, that's when video games first started getting the real negative vibes, and that's when people weren't really... they were trying to get the kids off the PlayStations and off the Game Boys and all that type of shit because it was too violent and all that fucking shit. But Jesus, I don't know.
But I will say this, if you had asked me this question 5 years ago, I would have had a totally different answer.
Yeah.
So I'll answer the question 5 years ago, looking back at the Doom situation. I would have said to someone, I played video games all my life and I've never felt like shooting someone. But the older I've gotten and I've looked back at that incident and all that, and I can't deny that game was new. Nowadays we're desensitized to violence and we're so used to it now.
Well, look at bloody Grand Theft Auto, mate.
Yeah, but at that particular time, that was a real slap in the face. And I remember as a kid playing that game, and I didn't feel like shooting someone, but I was mortified when I pulled the trigger playing that game.
Oh, yeah.
I can understand how someone a bit older than me, 18, 17, or sorry, 16, that like a teenager, experiencing that game at an older age, would it have changed my opinion? I think it would have. I think when you're a 17-year-old who's suffering the thing, you see that game and you realise, hold on a minute here, this is how I feel powerful. I go out and do this.
Yeah.
So the older I've gotten, I understand it. I still think at the end of the day, a video game is just a video game.
Yes,
but
of course.
I understand the argument, the counter argument, as the older I've gotten, and to the point now where I'm sitting there, I'm like, I understand that could have been the reason for those kids doing it. Like, to me, I'd accept that reason, whereas 5 years ago I wouldn't.
No, definitely not.
But that's never happened since then from a video game. So obviously that was just a once-off. But it's just, how do you feel about it?
Well, in some ways, mate, they've been talking about this shit for years, and I suppose too, like you said, if they're going on the game and they're shooting everyone and that type of shit, and very similar to what you said, if they feel, this is I'm going to feel powerful, I can actually got the power to take someone's life or take something's life. If I can do it on here, I can do it anywhere. Like you said. And really, if there's any Americans actually listening to this, I'm very sorry to say this, but it is true. There's so many places where you can just go and get yourself a military grade rifle. And not exactly just a normal hunting rifle. Like, this is a military grade assault rifle, an automatic rifle, and you can get magazines and you can get all that type of shit and fill them up with like nearly 30 bullets a magazine. And if you think you got the power to take someone's life on the game, geez, what? I wonder what what would it actually be like to actually take someone's life in real life, And that's what I'm thinking. Let's have a look. Let's see what happens if I take someone's life. Okay, bang. Oh, I like the power of this. Oh, okay, bang, 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 and so on and so forth.
I think the best way, I've actually thought about this game a fair bit, and I feel like there's no point censoring it now because the damn wall's already broken. Like, the danger of that happening, of someone getting that idea, that ended when Doom came out, because the impact Doom had can't be replicated by any other game. So a game can come out and be 20 times more violent or worse. But it's never going to have that impact that Doom had, in the sense of you're never going to get that emotion from people, because most people have seen someone shot in the movie by the age of 4 or 5 now. Doom was the one that broke that damn wall, which in a way probably needed to happen, because in some regards it's broken now, so we don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah. Which
actually, you know what? We might as well segue straight into the next one, if you don't mind. That is, I'll just.
Yeah, all right. So
Manhunt.
So what? The next console? Did you say?
No. The next controversial game after Doom. I just feel like we might as well just go to it now.
Yeah.
And I'll say it out loud. Manhunt.
Fucking Manhunt. Yeah.
Now, I think Manhunt was.
That was worse.
When you look back at it, it was worse in one regard, but as I said, Doom was a first, and because Doom was a first, there was an aura about it.
Yeah.
But I think the message that Manhunt sent was a lot different than the message Doom sent.
That was more of a mental game, that one, mate. That was I remember playing that one, a little bit of it anyway, because it was at a mate's place, and myself, I couldn't play it because it was just too right in your face, and it was too raw in some ways. I reckon it would be.
Well, Manhunt was a descent into the mind of a madman.
Yeah, so that's what I meant, mate. It was more of a mental game, and really, if you've got someone with very severe mental problems, like, I'm not saying that it's not the only cause
Well,
to do something like that.
I'll say
But
this. I'll say it goes hand in hand with a very certain horror film called Halloween with Michael Myers, the
Yeah.
deranged psychopath.
yeah, definitely.
So yeah,
Well, like I said, it was really, in some ways, mate. It was like a combination of the Halloween game. It was really a big fucking scary cocktail, really, when you think about it, because at that time you had the 13 on Elm Street, I think, came out. Scream came out, and all them came out.
Nightmare on Elm Street was during the 80s, man. So it was long before Manhunt. Manhunt was
there was multiple movies after that, but when I'm bloody sure there was.
Oh no, look, man, I got the whole set. Yeah, there was nearly 20 Friday the 13th. So,
yeah. So it would have to be something on those lines as well. Plus, you had the Scream come out. Plus, you got Manhunt come out. Then add the kicker, add the cherry on top. You have someone which has got severe mental problems, and then you've got a massive cocktail. Then what happens after that? So, yeah, it wasn't on the racks for too long. Put it that way.
No, that one got taken off Australia actually, which I've actually still got the original copy here.
But no, that did not last, not very long at all. That one. I think I remember that they tried bringing it out once more. I think they died down a couple of the things in it. But they just.
We could also add, it never got stopped around the world. It was just stopped in Australia. Yeah. America they never actually got it off the shelf in America.
But just the question, mate, when was that actually come out in Australia?
I think around 2004-ish, I believe. Hold on, man. I'll actually just try and find the cover for it. Stay with me. Yeah, I think around 2004, 2005.
Yeah. That was a very interesting time in Australia. But it was just, yeah. You can't really talk too much about that one because a lot of people knew about it and a lot of people didn't like it, and it's just one of those games, mate.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. It wasn't the funnest of games, to be very honest. It was just one of those.
It was not. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun.
Yeah,
like games were supposed to be fun back in those days. Like we had our violent games, of course. We had our army games, our killing games, that type of thing. But that one was
they were actually fun.
Yeah.
Like Manhunt was just. It was a pretty basic, boring game that was just controversial for the sake of being controversial.
Yeah.
Whereas Doom was different. You know, Doom was
completely different.
Doom was fun. Once you got rid of the shock of having blood splattered on your computer screen, you actually kind of enjoyed the game.
Exactly. But that's what I mean. If any younger people are listening to this, you will not have a clue what we are talking about. But if you're like me and Andrew, you know what we're talking about.
If anyone younger does want to go back and experience these games, I'd say Doom is a much funner game to play, even by today's standards.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. Go and play Doom.
And then you've got new Dooms. Doom's still around, Manhunt's not. So that tells you all you need to tell you. Because at the end of the day, censorship wasn't going to stop these games. What stopped Manhunt was Manhunt not being a good game. Doom's still with us. Doom's still one of the top selling games today.
Oh, well, funny enough, mate, Doom's still around because I've actually recently got the brand new one, Doom Eternal, I think it's called, yeah? That one there.
Exactly the same as it was back then.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually a bit more violent of today's bloody games than what it was back then, but Doom is still around even today. And now, Doom came out nearly, 25 years ago, something like that, 20 years ago. It was still around, so I don't know. But I suppose we shall move on onto the PS2 and on the Xbox. Now that's when, especially for the Xbox that I know of, like the PS2 had some of the best war games I've ever played. I'm twisting my words tonight. Medal
Medal
of
of
Honor Frontline, and Medal of Honor Sunrise, Rise and Sun. Yeah, Rise and Sun.
Sunrise, sunset.
But and Medal of Honor that came out, and on the PC too, Call of Duty came out. Call of Duty 2 came out, and 3 came out. That came out on the
They're all on
360.
PS2, by the way, too. But keep in mind.
Yeah, because the Call of Duty and Medal of Honor were across platforms, but they were some of the biggest war games. And I reckon Frontline was probably one of the biggest war games of that period too.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Let's talk about iconic games for PS2, I guess.
Well,
I guess you've got to mention Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, definitely. 1080. The old snowboarding game.
Yep. I remember that one. What's another one I remember from PS2? Now, this will be only Australian people on here, but the AFL games on PS2.
Of course. But
AFL Live 2003.
But, mate, now, the PS2 came out, and some of the greatest games came out, and that was in 2001. That was the one of the top free roam, do whatever the fuck you want games, and that was Grand Theft Auto 3. That was the first. That was the first one that actually came out on the consoles, because 2 and 1 Grand Theft Auto was actually on the PC.
Because we also got to mention here that Grand Theft Auto was also out on the PS1, but no one really, it wasn't really Grand Theft Auto as we know it until Grand Theft Auto 3.
Grand Theft Auto 3 was more or less the start of a great gaming franchise. But yeah, no, with Resident Evil 4, Final Fantasy X, Metal Gear Solid 2, God of War, Silent Hill 2, Burnout, Bully. Need for Speed, Bully. You remember Bully?
Yeah, I never played it though. I remember that.
Mate, that was a top game.
That was a Rockstar game from memory, wasn't it?
Hey?
That was a Rockstar game from memory.
Yeah, Rockstar done that game. That came out in 2006. That was one of the best games I've actually played. You get to play as a kid who goes into this boarding school, and then you just get to cause trouble for everyone. Excuse me. So you had Need for Speed Underground and Underground 2. And now Underground 2, that was back in the day, I think, when Fast and the Furious came out, the first one. And that's when everyone thought they was street races. And everyone just played on there, and they just, it was great game. What else have we got here? Devil May Cry. We had God Hand, Grand Theft Auto, Liberty City. Like I said, that was Liberty City Stories. That came out in 2005.
Hit and Run. Simpsons Hit and Run.
Yeah, Simpsons Hit and Run, of course.
We have to, if we're mentioning the PS2, we have to mention something.
What?
The
DVD?
PS2 was the start of the DVD era.
Oh, yes, of course. They were really the start of the pinnacle stage of it was the DVDs. But also, too, mate, there was one game that I used to play all the time, and it was one of the best wrestling games I've ever played besides that WCW Nitro, and that was SmackDown.
Yeah, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain was a really good one.
That was a great one. And the Godfather games came out. Hey?
And something that he's a little bit close to home to Matt right now, because I know he's just finished playing it.
What's
Mafia.
That? Yes, Mafia came out. That was one of the games that I was not allowed to get at the start, but then I said, no, I'm getting it. But then I got it, so it was all good. But yeah, Mafia came out. Scarface came out.
It's a very good game.
Hey?
By the way, people, play the remake of Mafia. You won't disappoint you.
Yeah, the Mafia games are coming out now. The remastered ones. This is the thing too. It's not actually a remastered one. Like both me and Andrew have got this game. We've played it. We've done it. It's not necessarily a remastered. It's been redone, But don't
rebuilt from the ground
it's
up.
rebuilt from the ground up. But don't get me wrong, mate. It's not. Don't say it's going to be changing the whole story. It's actually not. It's based on the actual story from the original Mafia, but with an
the
extra.
gameplay is exactly the same.
Yeah, but you actually get to have an extra missions. You get to have extra story with it, and you actually get to have better, probably the backstories of each character, which is actually better than what you did when the previous
It
version
tells
came
the
out.
story better because you feel you
Definitely.
can get attached to the characters more.
Well, until at the end, and you get killed. Spoiler alert, but everyone knows the game, so.
Yeah, if they haven't played it by now, they're never going to play it, to be honest.
Exactly, but that was the shocking part when at the end of it you got your story done and all the rest of the shit, but then all of a sudden, bang, you're dead. So, but that's the thing I like
That
about.
tells an amazing story, doesn't it? Really, I mean,
Yeah, it does. It
He
does.
went through all that.
Hey,
He went through all that he went through, got his family out, and
Got himself
still
out.
never.
But that's just the life, I reckon. That was just the life of it, and that's just the thing of it. But talking about the Underworld games, we also had another iconic game of that time, and that was The Godfather and Godfather 2. They were great games.
I'm going to mention one even more. Scarface, the video game, The World Is Yours. That game, wow.
Yeah, that was a fantastic game.
Yeah, fuck you, man.
But it was a fantastic one. It was so good. And do you remember Crisis? Something Crisis. Because that was back when the that was the PS3. We'll get that.
Crisis was PC, man, originally.
No, it was Time Crisis. But it was Time Crisis 3, I think, or 2 that came on the PS3. That's when you had the gun. But we'll get to that in a minute.
I was going to say, why the fuck did we jump a generation?
Yeah, exactly.
Because we got the Xbox now.
Now, the Xbox, that was a very iconic one as well. It was the first of its kind. And that's when the most famous games came out, which was Halo.
Still got that's probably one of my all-time favorite games. It was the atmosphere in Halo. I think was spectacular. The music, the soundtrack. It was just Halo was one of those special games that just has that soundtrack, that aura, that vibe. I think Crash Bandicoot was another one of them for a lot of people. And I think Halo is definitely going to be up there.
I'm just bringing up a list of some of the biggest PlayStation and Xbox games. Dead or Alive 3 was one of the big ones. Halo, where are we? Max Payne. What else we got here? NASCAR Thunder 2002. Surf. We've got Madden, of course. Madden has been around for God knows for ages. Yeah,
and would also be neglected to mention FIFA would be another one too.
Yes, FIFA as well. FIFA's been around just as long as probably Madden, and also as NBA. Metal Gear. I keep bloody forgetting to say freaking FIFA. I don't know why. I just can't. Yeah.
Now, one that I've got to mention for PS2, which is a game I spent a lot of hours playing, and that's rugby.
Yes.
EA Sports Rugby. I used to remember.
EA Sports, it's in the game.
Now, 2004 was the first one I played. That had George Gregan on the cover. And I remember that one very well. That was. I still remember the intro, the music.
Yeah.
Doom, 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 doom.
And I also to remember, I used to play this one on the Xbox, was 007 Agent Under Fire. That was a fucking terrific game too. That's actually when John Cleese actually done the game as well.
Another one worth mention of from that era, the Fight Night game.
Oh, the Fight Night. Yeah, that's really when the boxing games started coming up, wasn't it?
Oh, they had Mike Tyson knockouts and all them on Nintendos, but Fight Night for me was the ones that I remember the most.
Yeah, but
I still
sorry, mate, but I still reckon that the PS2 and the Xbox, I still say to this day, that was the start of the next gen. Like, I know people say, oh, it's already been 10 generations and all that type of shit. But I still
No,
think this PS2 and the Xbox were the start of the new generation, of the new modern era of when it comes to gaming. That's what I reckon.
Well, that was
anyway.
the start of the 3D era. Like when games became 3D and not just top down.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I reckon that gaming on those two consoles, that's when it really started getting to the pinnacle of gaming. That's what I reckon anyway.
Those were the days.
They were, mate. They really were. Now, I know about you, but I'm sorry to say this, guys, but I'm actually going to skip this one. That's when the Nintendo DS came out. I never played it, and yeah.
I didn't even know it existed, to be honest.
So now...
Sorry, go on, mate.
Yeah, right. Now, in 2005, this is when the new generation came out, and this is the Xbox 360. Now, the Xbox 360 and the PS3 came out, and this was the time when people really came together in the world, where you could play against players all across the world, because this is when Xbox Live came out, and the PS... what was the PlayStation's version of the online?
PlayStation Network.
PlayStation Network, that's right. That's when really that started really coming out. Now, I remember, because I had the Xbox 360, you had to try and get these big whopping fucking bricks of a hard drive, and it was, if I can remember, it was about 250 gig, and you could only put on about probably, 5 or 6 games at once. You had to take off one game and put another one on that you got, and take another one off that you haven't got, and then put another one on. And it was a 120 gig, 256 gig, and it was a 500 gig when the Xbox Slim came out. But
I've got to look back to the days of to the launch of the PS3 and the Xbox 360.
Oh yeah.
Now I got the 360s first, but I remember the launch day of the PS3 quite well, because the PS3, it looked so spectacular. You know, it was shiny, it was big, and I feel like it was just one of those ones, like, I know this will sound weird, but it seemed like an adult console, if that makes any sense. Like, it was the first time, like, it had a massive price tag, I thought. Like, and at the time, it was Blu-ray, and it was one of those ones where I think everyone admits they wanted one on launch day.
Yeah, and I remember it was very hard.
I don't think the Xbox 360 had that level of excitement. Xbox 360, you could argue, became a better console at the two of them at the PS3, and I would definitely agree to that. But I just remember the level of excitement when you saw the PS3, and just, it was just so unattainable to teenage me.
Especially, yeah, well, like you said, mate, the PS3 was so shiny and slick and just looked cool, and especially the first generation, because you got to remember this, guys. It was actually 2 generations or 3 generations of the PS3 that actually come out. The first generation...
Well, 2 generations of PS1 and PS2. No, there's a PS1 Slim.
Yeah, no, but do you remember there was actually about 2 or 3 different versions of the PS3? You had the nice slick one, the nice real shiny one, the real big, thick...
Actually, man, it was probably 4 or 5, because remember there was 2 on launch. One was backwards compatible and one wasn't.
Yeah. But the first generation...
One was a big, black, shiny, chromy looking thing.
Yeah, that was the one that was actually, they found out later, was fucking up, like really fucking up. So they said, oh shit, we got to take this off the shelves and bloody, relaunch again to fix up all these problems. Because what... I actually can't remember. Do you remember what was actually the problem? It was overheating, wasn't it?
So I can't actually... No, I can't really, to be honest with you. I remember it go off the shelf, and then it got relaunched with a 40 gig model, which didn't have the shiny disc area.
It was just a basic one, wasn't it? It wasn't no glossy. It was just
it still looked amazing. Don't get me wrong. It still looked like the PS3. Like, that to me was one of the, at the time, the most stunning looking consoles
Yeah.
I don't think, even to today, I don't think a console's come out and I've gone, I want that more than I did with that one.
Yeah, I reckon
But
so
then
too,
again,
mate.
I think it's funny because when you're at that age when we were when that came out, the 14 to 8, 14-ish age, it's one of those things where it wasn't attainable to you, but it wasn't so far out your reach. So
Yeah.
it was a weird feeling.
I remember too. I think it was only about $400. I think the 360 and
No. The PS4 was around 700 PS3.
PS3 was about 700. Because I remember when I got my
The initial
360, it
launch,
was about $500, or about $400.
yeah, the 360 was a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
It didn't look as cool. Remember, like it was just a white.
Just a white brick with the ring of death.
Oh boy, it definitely punched above its weight.
Oh yeah, but mate, the games were the pinnacle. Like you had Call of Duty Black Ops, you had Red Dead Redemption, you had Grand Theft Auto 5, Fallout 3, Skyrim. Skyrim was one of the biggest games.
Oblivion. If you're gonna mention Oblivion's gonna be one you gotta mention.
Yeah, Oblivion was before Skyrim, and then you had Grand Theft Auto 4, which was before Grand Theft Auto 5. You had one of the biggest ones on the PS2 was San Andreas and Vice City Stories. Go forward generation, you had the Ballad of Gay Tony. You had Lost and Redeemed. You had so many different games that was one of the most pinnacle games of that era. You also had Borderlands 2, Halo Reach, Portable, Bioshock.
Gears of War.
World at War, Call of Duty World at War. You had Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3. You had so many different games that people really loved. And you also had Fallout New Vegas, Forza Horizon. You had Gran Turismo, Injustice, oh god, there's so many games I can read out here. Dead Space, Alan Wake, Rayman, Assassin's Creed,
Uncharted.
You had freaking FIFA, you had Madden, you had NHL,
Infamous.
Far Cry. You had so many different games that that
I
came out.
reckon, being honest, in terms of pure games, because you got to look at this from the fact that there's nostalgia linked to the PS2 and PS1 for us.
Yeah.
So if you talk about nostalgia, I would venture to say that the best era of gaming was the 360 PS3 era.
Yeah.
Just based on the games.
Yeah, that's
because
what I mean.
I feel like
yeah.
When you're judging these type of things, because there's a lot of people out there that will listen and go, "Fuck no, man! Like the Crash Bandicoot games and that were way better." And this was like, yeah, but a lot of that's nostalgia. I truly believe. So if you take out nostalgia and just look at it on a sheet of paper next to each other, I truly believe that era was probably the greatest in terms of the new games, because most of those games are still dominating the market today. Battlefield, Call of Duty, Uncharted, Gears of War, Borderlands, Halo. All those games are still dominating today.
It's just it's unreal. It really is unreal, and I'm not going to say it was probably the best. I know we've missed out on one console, but we'll get on to that in a minute. Now, Andrew, he told me before I actually done this interview, he said one console which was one of the sleeping giants, well, not sleeping giants, but it was one of the sleeping consoles, and that was Nintendo Wii. And Nintendo Wii was a cordless, and you had to use sensors, and it was one hell of a fun game console to play.
The bowling for Wii Sports.
Wii Sports, mate, with a sword. Me and my brother and my family, we used to play Wii Golf. We used to play the Wii Sports and the sword games. It was one of the most pinnacle fucking games. It was the most funnest bloody games you'd ever play.
Wii Tennis was, that game was so fun as well.
But mate, that sword game, it was so fun. And all you had to do is just smack someone across the head with your thing, and then they'll get knocked out. And it was just so bloody fun. But with the PS3, with the Xbox 360, you also had something that came out which I actually got. It was good. but that was the Kinect. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I never really had much to do with it though. I think I had one when the 360 Slim came out, I believe.
Yeah. Well, I think that's actually when the actual Kinect did come out, because the Slims
Yeah,
were
it
like
came
the
out with
upgraded
it.
version of the 360s.
Yeah,
But
no, yeah, I do remember that. Well, I never really played it, to be honest with you. It's enough.
no, not really. Like I played a bit because at that time I had my nephews and that. I reckon probably around that time, but I was still young enough anyway to really play it. But I think no, my nephews and that came along later. But me and my family, we played a lot of that. But one console that I really would say, which was not exactly the best, was probably the PSP, the PlayStation Portable.
Yeah, I remember that coming out, and I thought that was an exciting idea, but it just never really.
It was basically Sony trying to steal the Nintendo's idea of the Game Boy, really, wasn't it? Really, when you think about it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's Nintendo's area. Even to today, it's Nintendo's area with the Switch. So
Yeah. But yeah, no, the PlayStation and the Xbox came out in 2005 and 2001 was the other ones, but no, 2001 was the Xbox. Anyway, the portable came out in 2005. The Wii came out in 2006. So we actually had consoles coming out left, right, and fucking center every year. Like the PSP only sold, well, the value of the both versions of it only sold over 25 million units worldwide. That's fuck all,
yeah,
really, when you think about it.
when you compare it to the amount of PS2s, the equivalent generation of consoles there. But I reckon I'm going to make a big call here because I reckon this is all subjective here, but as we just said before, if you look on paper and lined them up, the 360 PS3 era or generation, as you will, is probably the greatest. I reckon probably the worst would be the current era.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in this time that we are at now, can you name me one new game that's come out that's been iconic? Look at all, like, obviously we've got the Battlefield, the Call of Duties and all them and all these remakes that come out that are good.
Yeah.
But nothing new.
No, well, that's what I was saying, mate. Like,
Maybe more on PlayStation because of Horizon and them, but
see, I suppose if you were thinking iconic, see, there's already been a Red Dead Redemption, but Red Dead Redemption 2 was one of the biggest games of on the market, and it still is now.
It was already, already a title. It was already a Red Dead 1.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, mate. There's no real games coming out now that actually has never really been done before. There's always a game that's coming out now that actually has been done before, unless you probably could say Horizon or something like that. You probably could say, but not really, mate. Not really comes to my head anyway. I don't think so. No.
And I gotta admit, I haven't enjoyed this generation of gaming. To be honest with you, really. I mean, I think this is just me speaking now. I think this generation I've played the least amount of games out of every one of them.
Yeah, I could probably say that.
I mean, I played the odd Battlefield, the odd Call of Duty, and not really else. Like nothing in this generation really that hasn't already been around. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, mate. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, nothing really springs to mind in this generation.
No, I don't think so either, really, mate. If anyone's listening to this, right, and you've got someone who's into the gaming development areas or shit like that with all the big major companies or something like that, get some new ideas. Go get some people, get some ideas, do a brainstorm, and try and find something that's original but has never been done before. Like, come on.
I think the next generation, PS5 is looking pretty promising. The Xbox side of it's looking pretty basic as always, you know. Xbox, I think this generation has probably been Xbox's worst.
Yeah.
You know, the Xbox One is like, not the hardware, take hardware out of the side of it. Because really, at the end of the day, if you want hardware, you buy a PC. It's just that simple. I mean, consoles for what has better games? And I really don't see much coming out on the Xbox, but I see some good ones coming out on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to bring up Dodgeball. Sackboy is another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but how do you see it?
I don't know, mate. It's just... I would have to say one thing, but like I said before, if anyone's listening and they've got anyone in the game, big development companies of the games, you either get something new and original or shit's going to go down, because it's the same thing, right, with the PS5, right? The one's coming out next year or this year, right? Depends on if you got your shipment right. I don't know, whatever. But they're doing another Grand Theft Auto 5, mate, and it's called Enhanced. Now, fuck me, come on. Get another Grand Theft Auto out. Get number 6 out.
Yeah,
or
well,
get something else that's completely different altogether.
Well, Grand Theft Auto, like, I mean, let's not forget here, people. Grand Theft Auto actually came out on the PS3.
Yeah.
The Grand Theft Auto 5, that is.
Yeah.
We've been playing Grand Theft Auto 5 since 2013.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, mate. They have to get another one out, mate. They have to.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit insulting to Grand Theft Auto fans when they released another remake of number 5. I thought, you've milked this cow now. You know, this cow is dry.
Mate, I still reckon, because multiplayer is such a big platform now, they're getting their money out. They're doing their fucking online shit now. There's nothing. There's no new updates for the original.
I don't think someone's gonna take this one too well. Sorry guys, I'm getting a call through here.
Yeah, no worries at all, mate. Hang on a sec. Well, Andrew's just taking a phone call at the moment. He'll be back in a minute, but basically, with that is, I'll move on to the next one, because I'm pretty sure Andrew has never really played this one as well, and that was the PlayStation Vita. That came out in 2011, and there wasn't really too much of that one really out anyway. But anyway, we'll get back in a minute, and yeah, so I'll be back in 2 seconds. All right, guys, so we're back, and so all good. Andrew's back.
You can blame my bloody mother for that one.
All good, mate. So I just talked about the PlayStation Vita. No one played that one.
I can't remember playing it.
I've never had any interest in that. So that just leaves us with the PS4 of today, and then the PlayStation 1. Now,
well, 2 games we forgot.
Oh,
Fallout and Killzone.
Hey, mate?
Fallout and Killzone.
Of course. Yeah, well, I did mention Fallout and New Vegas and all them, but Fallout was...
probably one of my favourite all-time games, Fallout.
Yeah, it was.
So immersive.
It was. It was one of the best, I reckon. But so now with the PS4 games, and the Xbox One games, well, like me and Andrew said, it was one of those things where they were literally scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to it, right? They weren't making nothing more original. They were either making something that was already done or already starting to get done. They weren't getting nothing new. They weren't getting nothing original. So I'm just going to bring out some of the PS4 games, and this is how we got this. Right, we've got Last of Us, Ghosts, yet again, Grand Theft Auto 5. Again, we played that over 2 consoles now. Horizon, Spider-Man, Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Crash Bandicoot, which has come out this year on the PS4. And Apex Legends, Rocket League, The Watcher, Uncharted 4, Death Stranding, which was one, I'm sorry to say, which was one of the biggest wastes of fucking time I've only played probably a good few missions of it, and I got bored shitless of it.
Walking simulator.
It was basically a walking simulator. You got Days Gone, which was actually I've never played it, but apparently it's a terrific game. You've got all your sports games and boxing games, UFC come out by this stage. You've got your Doom, you've got your Final Fantasies, which has been around for fucking years. You got your Metal Gear Solid, Phantom Pain, I think it was called. You got Assassin. Sorry, mate.
Brilliant game, might I add.
It is. But the problem is I was not able to finish it. I don't know why, but I was not able to finish it. But you've got so many different games coming out, and at the same time we had which was really not real big deal, we had the PS4 Pro come out. That was only about a couple of years later. But that was only for the VR. But really, when it comes to it, guys, this is when something else happened. When the PS4 comes out, and everyone knows this now because we're coming into the current generation, the VR. Now, the VR, it was one of the biggest enhancements when it comes to gaming. Now, I'm not saying that the PS4 is the only one who's actually got a VR. The PC's got a VR as well. There's so many different versions of VR that you can actually use to play games. Like I actually wouldn't mind getting, I think it's called the Oasis, I think it's called, from Steam. That looks fucking insane. Especially Blaze and Glory, I think it's called. But now we've got the PS5 coming out this year and next year, if you've got, as I said, you've got the right shipment, and you've also got the Xbox X coming out. Now, you have to agree with this one, Andrew, right? Xbox and Microsoft have come up with the most stupidest fucking names for their consoles. You've got Xbox, what was it? The Xbox 360, the Xbox One, and the Xbox X. It's like, what?
Xbox One X and Xbox One S and Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X.
It's like,
what would have been wrong with the Xbox 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, and that's what I like about the PlayStation. PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5, PSP, PS Vita. It was one of those just subtitles of the PS4 or the PlayStation, but PS1, PS2, 3, 4, 5. It was Molly Mo.
I'd like to add that PC still on PC1.
Yeah. So
I'm waiting for PC2.
That's the thing. People are still saying and still don't know that the PC has not evolved in no way possible except for the programs in the software and the hardware of the generation, of the time. But they have not upgraded nothing else. When it comes to it, it's still like you said, mate, it's still the generation 1 of PC gaming.
It's worked out well for World of Warcraft.
Now I know people are probably saying, well, what about the PC? What about the PC? What games are PC coming? Oh, fucking hell, mate. Settle down. Chill out. But PC games, there's been a lot of different games. Like, you got your Total War, you had your flight simulators, your truck simulators. I have to mention Truck Simulator. Total Wars, like I said, Minecraft which was one of the biggest Microsoft games out there. I actually remember when I had my 360. I remember you could get it for free because they were moving the Minecraft from PC to the console, and I remember you had to pay for it or you had to get it for free for the beta, like a bit of a test of it. And if you liked it, you had to pay like $15 for it.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a while back now.
Oh, that was years and years ago. But no, there's been a lot of different PC games that have been coming out. I'm not going to get with them all because there's mostly been all console games as well. But but yeah, basically now, like you forgot, like one game I should really say was Civilization, those type of games, Final Fantasy, and all those type of games. Because Age of Empires 3 came out as well, and it was just one of those things. But I will say the top 10 games. Well, I've actually looked it up just here now. They reckon the top 10 games with PCs was actually The Witcher 3, Dark Souls 3, Control, Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Monster Hunter World, Death Stranding, which is number 6, and Red Dead Redemption 2 and Doom Eternal. Hang on, just bloody load up the page because it didn't show me the full thing. The Witcher, Dark Souls, Control. No, I don't want to have any ads. Go away. But yeah, so. But yeah, I don't know, mate. What do you reckon?
I can't add any more than what you added, to be honest.
Because really, when it comes to it, like I've said a couple times now, they have to get something original. They have to get something new. Otherwise, people will stop buying the consoles and they'll just go somewhere else and do something else. But I still reckon to this date, that the consoles are going to be only around. I reckon only going to be around for another 10 years. Really, when you think about it. Well, you've got the Nintendo Switch, and that's all coming out pretty good. But I still reckon today is about VR. VR is going to be the pinnacle when it comes to it.
Yeah, VR is where it's heading, I reckon.
And I still reckon, like, I kind of messed it up there before, trying to remember this movie. What was the movie called, mate?
Ready Player One.
Now, if anyone's actually seen that movie, you know exactly where I'm going with this. If you haven't, go and check it out. It's a good movie. It's actually a fantastic movie, especially if you're a gamer or into sci-fi, that type of shit. But I still reckon that people are going to be like that in about another 50 years. By 2050, when you and me are old farts, mate, I reckon that's when gaming is going to be unrecognisable in some ways, mate. I reckon it's going to be more realistic, more in your face. There's going to be more violence, more bloody controversy and all that type of shit.
I wouldn't be surprised if they actually start to factor in real world consequences like pain and other things.
Yeah, I honestly think that is what's going to happen. And I honestly think, mate, we've gone through all the consoles now. I've already done an episode very similar to this with my history with gaming, but I thought I better get Andrew on here and then we can both compare what different games and different consoles that we played over our lifetimes and just explain to people who are not used to the older consoles and how it's actually used to be done. But honestly, mate, I've got really nothing else really to say. I think we've covered everything. You got anything else you want to say, or?
No, I think everything we've already covered everything we possibly can.
Yeah, well, I reckon so too, mate. And but anyway, thank you very much for joining me there today, Andrew, or tonight. And I hope to see you for the next one.
See you later.
All right, so back with the show, mate. And so anyway, guys, there you go. That is what we thought were the best games and the best consoles that we ever played on, and what we did play on, and what we thought about every single console that me and my mate Andrew actually seen, and actually what we played. Now, on a side note, I reckon it's going to be one of those type of consoles that are going to be coming out soon enough, but it's going to be the PS5 and the Xbox X. Now, I reckon that there are going to be some pretty good consoles coming out. And I dare say the PC is going to be coming out with some real good stuff too in the next few years. But I'm really excited about having the PS5 come out and the Xbox. Even though I don't play the Xbox that much or that often, I reckon it's going to be one of those episodes or one of these not episodes, but one of these type of consoles is going to be more or less going to be the pinnacle of gaming consoles that are actually coming out. Now, like I said, VR is going to be one of the top things that are going to be coming out soon enough. They're going to be taking over. They're going to take over the game controllers. They're going to take over everything VR. And like I said on that last bit, I reckon we are going to go into the future of gaming when it comes to VR. I reckon we're going to end up going like that Ready Player One or that other movie. It's just going to be good to see what's going to be like, mate. And I hope, and me and my mate, hopefully, are going to be around long enough to basically see all that. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. I'll talk to you later. This is going to be the end of the show of today. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And I reckon it's going to be one hell of a thing to come out soon enough. But anyway, hopefully you go over to my social media, to Facebook. Go and see on there Matt Edwards Media. And go and see all the updates of what happens on the Having Yak podcast. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me today. I'll see you for the next one, guys. See you later.